Thank you, Carol. I've been pondering the limits of my knowledge recently. I love to know things. I like to reel off facts and figures and to be a resource to my friends, to tell them which end is up. And, there's a little ego in that, for sure. You could say that I'm a recovering know-it-all. Often I remember to end my recitations of what I think I know with, at least that's how I remember hearing it, or I could be wrong. It turns out I am frequently mistaken. And our reading reminds me that knowledge in this life is always incomplete. And I'm not in a rush right now to get to the next life and find out what that's like. But I like the idea that it will be complete, whatever the heck that means. When we don't know, when we can't know, we can still trust in the sacred, hope unswervingly, and love extravagantly. This I know. When we think we know, but we really don't, that's when we can get into trouble, because we will not practice those values of faith, hope, and love. We'll be too busy being right. We will choose sides. It's human nature, and my side is right? Yeah. In this age of partisan news and fragmented social media, we can always find someone who agrees with us and ignore all the people who disagree with us. Often we don't even notice they exist, and they don't notice we exist, and here we are. We need to remember that our knowledge is incomplete. We all have stories, beliefs about how the world works. These stories and beliefs help us make sense of life. We need them, but they're often wrong or outdated, and they're always incomplete. And in turbulent times, the stories that used to work for us no longer are true. We have to find new stories. Now, we all have private stories, beliefs that we have about the world and about ourselves. And there's a whole industry called cognitive behavioral therapy to help you change those stories to work better for your life. And according to a friend of mine who's in cognitive behavioral therapy, I am a font of cognitive behavioral therapy. So here's a few things I think I know. Change your story if it's not working. If it doesn't empower you, find one that does. And the stories that empower me are often from my faith, such as, we are all loved and valued beyond measure. We are all imperfect, and trying to be perfect is a big waste of time. We are all forgivable, and by the ultimate, forgiven. The sacred creates and renews all things, including us. And in turbulent times, the sacred can show us what to do, how to be, even maybe how to thrive. When things get very dark, we have this threefold path that the Apostle Paul gave us: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Our stories about how the world works around us are also often wrong, or at least incomplete. Now here we have a challenge, because we can choose stories that keep us comfortable, and they will prevent us from seeing realities around us that are not only painful, but dangerous. So when hidden stories of oppression, or ecological devastation, or injustice, funny how they tend to work together, are revealed, we may wish we didn't know what we know. Our hearts break. Our innocence is shattered. And as painful as this process is, I think it's for the best to face reality. If we are living in a happy bubble, ignoring the world's troubles, this is not compassion. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed unless it is faced, said James Baldwin. Now, I'm going to get a little political with you today. I hope that's okay. When oppression is the order of the day, my faith doesn't allow me to be silent. And I know that I'm going to tell you only one side of a story, but it's real, it's my lived experience. I've been supporting our immigrant neighbors off and on for a while now. And in that work, I learned things about our criminal legal system that I never wanted to know. The people I work with call our system the criminal legal system because it's so unjust they can't get themselves to call it the criminal justice system. I know that accused people are often under tremendous pressure to plead guilty even if they're not guilty, because pleading innocent requires a trial, and a trial takes a lot of time and resources. So they are being leaned on to expedite things. Your case, if you seek trial, could be delayed for years. Andrew, not his real name, a man I supported, spent 6 years in county jail awaiting trial, including during COVID when the jail closed its kitchen and he got cold lunch meat sandwiches for over a year for lunch and dinner. When Andrew finally went to trial, he was acquitted after serving 6 years in the county jail, which no one can give back to him. Many community members I met had served long stints in state prison for various serious charges, including murder, that they had not committed. The law said that if you are in the company of someone who commits certain crimes, you are also guilty of the same crime. I've tried to imagine being on a jury and convicting someone for murder who hadn't killed anyone. I couldn't make myself do it, whatever the law said. I still wonder if that's why they lean so hard on people to plead guilty and skip the trial, because they know they'd lose if it went to trial. I don't understand the law, that I know. But maybe that's because some of our laws make no sense whatsoever. Our immigration system has also been nonsense for a long time. And we've had various patches, amnesties, the DACA program for young undocumented people to be safe. Because legal documentation has always been hard to get, and now it's just about impossible. Being undocumented has never been a crime. So immigrants are not charged with a crime and therefore not eligible for a court-appointed attorney. Most of them can't afford a lawyer, and the odds of avoiding deportation without a lawyer are close to zero. Even to get released on bail from those horrible for-profit prisons that they call immigrant detention almost always requires the lawyer they don't have. Also, then and now, immigrants are often threatened or fooled into signing documents that say they agree to be deported. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, have long acted without warrants or showing ID to scoop up immigrants, undocumented immigrants, not criminals. They often pretend to be local police. They enter private spaces illegally. But in the past, they mostly went after people who had some run-in with the law, usually a matter that was already resolved. But now, every immigrant is fair game, and some citizens too. In the alternative reality media, where ICE is justified, they're detaining the worst of the worst. Yeah, right. In Orange County, ICE was already snatching people off the street as they exited county jail after either having charges dropped or having served their time. But now that's not enough to meet their quotas, so ICE snatches car washers, gardeners, day laborers, fast food workers, grocery workers, asylum seekers, mothers, babies, pastors. But most reliably, They snatch people who are coming out of their immigration court hearing, trying to do the right thing. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. ICE can round up a dozen or more people a day without even having to repark their cars. Here's what I witnessed at an unlabeled federal immigration court in a nice office park in Santa Ana. ICE has been disappearing people from there for the past 3 weeks or so. They seem to home in on one courtroom each session. Somebody at the court, which is a different federal organization, is handing them files. Within that courtroom, everything appears normal. But when the targeted people leave the courtroom and the door clicks closed, ICE agents waiting in the hallway in plain clothes surround the victim and whisk them down a back staircase into a waiting van. From there, they disappear into an undisclosed location. Our elected representatives have tried to enter federal buildings where they believe these people are being held, and they've been denied admission illegally. Days or weeks later, they're hopefully located in a detention center somewhere in the US, or already put on a plane to God knows where. The first time I did this, I walked out arm in arm with a man who couldn't believe what was happening to him. He was shaking. He begged them not to take him. No response. I had to say goodbye to him at the stairwell. They wouldn't let me go further. And all I could do was shout that I would pray for him. After that first time, I wasn't allowed to accompany anyone in the hall. They tightened things up. I watched ICE snatch 8 people that day, a week ago Friday, including 2 children, and I couldn't do a thing to stop them. But here's what I can do. I whisper to people before the session, or even in the courtroom. I tell the people at high risk, we believe ICE is here and may detain you. They look at me in disbelief or horror. I give them a phone number to write on their arms, a toll-free number they can use from jail. Jail phone calls are the only ones left that cost money, from the people that don't have any. Jail soap costs money too. I tell them to make sure their loved ones have identifying A numbers so they can eventually be found if they end up at a detention center instead of immediately being deported. That's all I can do. Their lawyers can't help them either. Lawyers that appear in court via internet don't even realize that their clients have been snatched, nor do their families or friends. In one case, a couple's young niece was left standing in the courtroom with no way to get home. One of our volunteers drove her. The people ICE have been targeting in court are eligible for expedited removal. In other words, they're easy pickings for a quick plane trip back to the place they risked their lives to escape. I'll never forget Juan, not his real name, from Venezuela, who cried and begged the judge not to allow him to be deported because his dad was a known opposition leader, and Juan believed he would be assassinated when he stepped off the plane. The judge told him that he could still make a claim of credible fear from detention, like anyone would listen. This man turned to me and said, "How do I get justice?" What could I say? I told him this country doesn't have justice anymore. Lo siento. I'm so sorry. So here are some things I think I know about this situation. I can do very little for these people, but doing something is better than doing nothing. And this is the work that God calls me to do at present. I believe that being a witness matters when there's nothing else that I can do. I believe that sharing what I witness with enough people might make a difference. I believe that some of you, or someone you know, is looking for something to do to help immigrants, and you could join me in this work. talk to me afterwards. If you're interested, we have a lot of shifts available. And if this particular work does not seem like what you're up for, there are other ways to help as well. Here's something I don't know for sure, and I hope I'm wrong. ICE could become this administration's secret police, rounding up anyone they don't approve of, and I don't know how we'd stop them. They're already lawless, accountable to no one. They are already threatening anyone who tries to talk to them or film them, and in LA they arrested citizens who were protesting peacefully, including Union President David Huerta. Last I checked, the proposed federal budget contains $45 billion for detaining up to 100,000 people within our borders, and $16 billion to hire 18,000 new ICE and Border Patrol officers. Looks to me like secret police waiting to happen. None of us knows what the future will bring. That I'm clear on. In turbulent times, we get shaken up. We get scared. We don't know which story to believe or which story we can sleep with. And I did not sleep that first night I did accompaniment at court. We could try to hide in a happy bubble, or we can gather our courage and face the trouble. Lock arms and be witnesses to things that never should happen. When what we thought we knew about our country is no longer true, still our hearts can be true. Our faith can be true. Our love and compassion can be true. Our determination can be true. We don't need to understand how it is we got in this mess. We don't need to know how to get out of it. We don't even have to know what to do. We just need to step out of our bubbles and show up with an open heart, learning, asking questions, finding who knows what, who does what, being witnesses, finding other people who care, and joining with them, finding some helpful little thing to do. And then the sacred will be guiding us. And we may not be able to control what's happening outside us, but we can be who the sacred calls us to be, no matter what. In these turbulent times, to face trouble, we do need to be grounded in faith, hope, and love. Trust steadily in the sacred. Hope unswervingly that we together will make a difference, and love extravagantly. They know not what they do. The greatest of these three things is love. I sure wish I had happier news to tell you, but the good news is that we are never alone. The sacred is with us, and we have each other, and we will make a difference together. And I invite you to sing with me now, number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive.